If you've played both Portal 1 and 2, then you're probably aware of how substantially different the tone of each game is. Portal 1's exploration of paranoia and isolation is a far cry from the lighthearted and often comedic nature of Portal 2, and it's for this reason that many still prefer the original game over its sequel. That isn't to say that one game is objectively better than the other, though. They're just different, and while I personally like Portal 2 a bit more, I still think it's worth highlighting what made Portal 1 such a unique and successful game in the first place. And that's its atmosphere. The atmosphere of Portal is quite unlike that of any other game, and unfortunately, it's an aspect of it that I think is hard to properly experience nowadays. Portal is almost 20 years old now, and because of the internet, it's likely that most people will know what the game is about, even if they haven't played it. And knowing really anything about Portal before playing it will probably give you an entirely different experience from someone who goes in blind. Which means if you actually don't know a lot about Portal, then you should really go play it before watching this video. As for everyone else, let's start from the beginning. From the moment you start Portal, everything about it is instantly abnormal. There's no introductory cutscene, nothing explains to you what's going on, and you don't even get to know who you're playing as. You just wake up in a glass box and the game begins. From here, you're given a moment to get your bearings, and it's in this moment where you'll have already begun to make a few connections. It's clear that you're in some kind of lab and are likely a test subject, though what is being tested and who you are being studied by is unknown. Whatever the case may be, the experiment is already off to a very strange start.
Hello, and again, welcome to the Aperture Science Computer-Aided Enrichment Center.
This odd synthesized voice belongs to GLaDOS, though at no point in the game are you ever directly told her name, and this first interaction you have with her ultimately ends up raising more questions than answers. It's not entirely obvious what her purpose is other than to be your guide, and while at first it seems like she's trying to help, it's apparent that something isn't quite right.
For your own safety and the safety of others, please refrain from... Por favor, por donde vayamos. Turn back. The portal will open in 3, 2, 1.
The novelty of these portals might be enough to distract you from how strange your whole situation is, but if you're able to look past them, you might notice some interesting details in the environment. The white walls surrounding you, seemingly so sterile at a glance, are actually quite dirty, and the floor tiles are full of cracks. Beneath the glass box you started out in is an ominous red glow, revealing rusted metal walls underneath, and looking over the test chamber is an empty observation room. No one is watching you, save for a few cameras, which track your every movement. My favorite detail in Test Chamber 0 isn't what you can see though, it's what you can hear. All of these little details hint towards things not being as they seem, and they give the test chamber an extremely off-putting mood that perfectly sets the tone for the rest of the game. It's really impressive just how much the developers were able to accomplish with such a small space, and it's here where you'll first feel the effects of Portal's atmosphere. While you play through Portal, it's likely you'll start to experience a strong sense of loneliness. The test chambers are incredibly isolating. There's nothing comforting about the cold white walls of Aperture, or the endless puzzles you have to solve. It's just all so bleak and empty. And there's nobody else but you. Every observation room in the game is empty. There aren't any scientists, or workers, or even any people at all. It's just you. Of course, GLaDOS is there too, but her presence is only more alienating than anything. She's not a human, she's this weird, apathetic AI, and her behavior throughout the game becomes increasingly more and more sinister. At first, it seems like she's just trying to help you, and there's even a kind of playfulness to her that makes her pretty endearing.
Please proceed to the chamber lock. Mind the gap. unbelievable. You
Subject name here.
must be the pride of
Subject hometown here.
momentum. A function of mass and velocity is conserved between portals. In layman's terms, speedy thing goes in, speedy thing comes out.
But then she starts to add obstacles to the tests that can kill you, and her playfulness is replaced with a very dark sense of humor.
In dangerous testing environments, the Enrichment Center promises to always provide useful advice. For instance, the floor here will kill you. Try to avoid it.
It quickly becomes clear that GLaDOS doesn't really care if you live or die. You're just something that she can experiment on, a plaything trapped in her facility, and when everything is done, who knows what she'll do with you next.
As part of a previously mentioned required test protocol, we can no longer lie to you. When the testing is over, you will be missed.
Of course, you don't actually know if GLaDOS is out to get you, but that's how it feels. And that's what makes Portal so special. It doesn't tell you that GLaDOS is evil, or that you should be lonely. It makes you feel that way. And one of the best examples of this is with the game's soundtrack. The music of Portal is absolutely desolate, and it gives off this complete feeling of isolation and melancholy that's almost impossible to describe. Listening to it makes me feel as if I've stepped directly into the future, but no one's there. I am completely alone.
Due to mandatory scheduled maintenance, the appropriate chamber for this testing sequence is currently unavailable. It has been replaced with a live fire course designed for military androids. The Enrichment Center apologizes for the inconvenience and wishes you the best of luck.
I'd say that Test Chamber 16 is where Portal really starts to mess with the player. For the entirety of the game, the developers have been trying to make you feel as isolated as possible, and now they're going to weaponize those feelings against you. Portal's turrets are easily one of its most famous obstacles, and not because they pose a particularly unique challenge, but because of how they are presented. Despite the fact that they're actively trying to kill you, there's something kind of cute about the turrets, and that's exactly what makes them so dangerous. Up until this point, the player has been completely alone, and these turrets are really alluring. They have these silly little voices, they'll complain when picked up, and they even cry out in pain and then forgive the player when knocked over. It makes the turrets seem kind of innocent and friendly, and because of that, I'm certain many have fallen for their tricks.
Is anyone there?
But the turrets aren't the only thing this test chamber has to offer. The combination of visuals, music, and audio here is both deeply unsettling and equally intriguing. It gives off the impression that you aren't supposed to be there, and that you're seeing something you really shouldn't be seeing. Then there's the clear signs of another person living here, which you'd think would be a reassuring discovery, but instead it's kind of creepy. Whoever this person is, they clearly aren't well, and it's eerie to think that someone might just be out there, hiding somewhere on the walls. Though that being said, it does seem like they're trying to help you. This is most evident in the famous "the cake is a lie" statement scribbled along the wall, which is of course referring to the cake GLaDOS promises to give you at the end of testing. I think what makes this warning so effective, and why it has become so memed, is because of its more figurative meaning. While you are promised a literal cake, the cake itself is representative of something much bigger. It's the idea that there is some end to these puzzles, that you'll make it out of Aperture safely and everything will be fine. But deep down, you know that isn't really going to happen, and this message further supports your suspicions. There is no cake, or way out. GLaDOS is just lying to you. Discovering this room is easily one of my favorite parts of Portal. It's such an effective moment, and it really marks a turning point in the game. Now you know something is up, and if you weren't already feeling paranoid before, you definitely will be now.
The vital apparatus vent will deliver a weighted companion cube in 3, 2, 1.
I don't think it would be much of a stretch to say that Portal's companion cube is its greatest trick, and where the previous test chamber played with your feelings of loneliness, Test Chamber 17 fully preys on it. Now, for anyone who hasn't played Portal before, you probably won't get what makes the companion cube so special, and to be fair, it is literally just a box with a heart on it. In most other games, you wouldn't even notice it. But in Portal, this cube will have a very unique effect on the player. Just by giving it a few heart decals and a special name, the game is able to make this particular cube seem special, and rather than just using the cube once and being done with it, you have to carry it with you throughout the level. This results in the companion cube aiding you in quite a few ways. At first it helps you climb some steps, then it shields you from an energy ball, and then it helps you solve a few puzzles. This all starts to make the cube feel like an actual companion, and GLaDOS's dialogue even hints at the cube being alive.
The symptoms most commonly produced by enrichment center testing are superstition, perceiving inanimate objects as alive, and hallucinations. The enrichment center reminds you that the weighted companion cube will never threaten to stab you and, in fact, cannot speak. The enrichment center reminds you that the weighted companion cube cannot speak. In the event that the weighted companion cube does speak, the enrichment center urges you to disregard its advice.
Although people like to debate whether or not the companion cube is actually sentient, I'm almost positive that GLaDOS is using reverse psychology here. She's just acting suspicious in order to trick you into thinking that the cube is alive. In reality, it probably isn't. However, humans are very social creatures, and when that need isn't filled, they can find company in anything. Whoever's living in the walls of Aperture might seem crazy, but when you're told to incinerate the companion cube at the end of the test, how long will it take for you to let it go?
You euthanized your faithful companion cube more quickly than any test subject on record. Congratulations. The experiment is nearing its conclusion. The Enrichment Center is required to remind you that you will be baked, and then there will be cake.
Something that I find interesting about Test Chamber 18 is that its puzzles are actually quite a bit more difficult to solve than Test Chamber 19's, even though it's the final chamber of the game. Really, Test Chamber 18 seems like it would be a much better finale. Not only is it way longer, but it also utilizes every mechanic you've learned up until that point. Which is weird, right? You'd think that the final test would have the harder puzzles, but instead, it's designed more like an obstacle course. You have to duck under this bar, open a door so you don't fall off your platform, and the game even throws an energy ball at you that never disappears. Rather than being a test of your puzzle-solving skills, it's almost as if this chamber was made specifically to kill you.
Congratulations. The test is now over. All Aperture technologies remain safely operational up to 4,000 degrees Kelvin. Rest assured that there is absolutely no chance of a dangerous equipment malfunction prior to your victory candescence. Thank you for participating in this Aperture Science computer-aided enrichment activity. Goodbye.
One of the things I love about Portal is how it completely justifies your feelings of paranoia in this moment. You were right, GLaDOS really was out to get you all along, and it makes this reveal really satisfying, even though you are still about to die. But maybe things don't have to go GLaDOS's way.
What are you doing? Stop it. I We are pleased that you made it through the final challenge where we pretended we were going to murder you.
Of course, GLaDOS tries to manipulate you once again, but by now, it's far too late. Her facade has completely fallen apart, and this is mirrored thematically by the look of the facility. Just as you get to see GLaDOS' true intentions, so too do you get to see what Aperture really looks like.
I know you're there. I can feel you here. Hello? Is anyone there?
As you delve deeper into the facility, you'll come across this office, which connects to some of the observation rooms you'll have seen throughout the game. But what's more interesting is how messy these rooms are. There's a stain on this desk, chairs and keyboards are knocked all over the place, and all of the monitors are still on. These details paint a morbid picture of what happened to the scientists at Aperture, and with GLaDOS as the only one in control, it's clear that she's to blame. But despite how obviously malicious she has shown herself to be, GLaDOS continues to try and convince you to stop escaping, giving you more empty promises of cake and forgiveness.
Okay, the test is over now. You win. Go back to the recovery annex for your cake. It was a fun test, and we're all impressed at how much you won. The test is over. Come back.
I think this is pretty revealing of one of GLaDOS' biggest flaws, and that's that she doesn't really understand humans. There are some aspects of human psychology that she does understand, since she's able to manipulate them, but there are other aspects of humans that she's almost completely clueless about. For example, her way of trying to motivate test subjects is by offering them a cake at the end of testing, which is a laughably bad reward for making it through tests that can very easily kill you. It also shows just how much she underestimates humans, to the point where she thinks they can be tricked by something as simple as food, like a rat or a pigeon would be. But humans aren't that simple, and they don't just forget what you've done to them. Any actual human would know this, but GLaDOS just doesn't.
Didn't we have some fun, though? Remember when the platform was sliding into the fire pit and I said goodbye, and you were like, no word. And then I was all, we pretended we were going to murder you. That was great.
It's a very fascinating part of her character, and I think it's what ultimately results in her downfall.
Well, you found me. Congratulations. Was it worth it? Because despite your violent behavior, the only thing you've managed to break so far is my heart.
There's something both kind of grand and unsettling about GLaDOS' reveal. She's clearly a marvel of technology, but the way she functions is almost entirely incomprehensible. The giant monitors above her are especially striking, and to me, they seem to be displaying what's going on in her mind. There are images of cake, electronics, and inventions, as well as pictures of humans and other living creatures, like she's actively trying to process what life even is. That's just speculation on my part, but the fact that she's so enigmatic just makes her all the more intimidating. And then there's her personality.
You're kidding me. Did you just set that Aperture Science thing, we don't know what it does, into an Aperture Science Emergency Intelligence Incinerator? That has got to be the dumbest thing that— Whoa. Good news. I figured out what that thing you just incinerated did. It was a morality core they installed after I flooded the enrichment center with a deadly neurotoxin to make me stop flooding the enrichment center with a deadly neurotoxin. So get comfortable while I warm up the neurotoxin emitters. Oh, that thing you burned up isn't important to me. It's the fluid catalytic cracking unit. It made shoes for orphans. Nice job breaking it, hero. I'd just like to point out that you were given every opportunity to succeed. There was even going to be a party for you. A big party that all your friends were invited to. I invited your best friend, the companion cube. Of course, he couldn't come because you murdered him. All your other friends couldn't come either because you don't have any other friends because of how unlikable you are. Neurotoxin. So deadly. Joking.
I'm kidding.
When I said deadly neurotoxin, the deadly was in massive sarcasm quote. I could take a bath in this stuff, put it on cereal, rub it right into my eyes. Honestly, it's not deadly at all.
To me.
I really like how Portal subverts your expectations of how an artificial intelligence would behave. In media, they're often portrayed as these very composed and calculated machines, but GLaDOS is quite the opposite. Without a morality core, she becomes extremely bad-tempered and emotional, and I think this was a great way to show that she isn't just some robot, she's a living, sentient being with her own personality and feelings. But perhaps if she was less emotional and more like a machine, then maybe she could have found a better way to stop you.
That thing you burned up isn't important to me.
Unit.
It made shoes for orphans.
Nice job breaking it, hero.
While the concept of thinking with portals was certainly an innovative and unique idea at the time, I think what ultimately made Portal 1 such a success was its incredible writing and atmosphere. The puzzles are good, yes, but what really sets Portal apart from other games is the experience it provides. An experience of isolation, paranoia, and discovery as you explore the lonely halls of Aperture Science. Valve took a risk when making Portal, but it resulted in a truly unforgettable game.